Imagine waking up one morning with more energy, sharper focus, and zero urge to waste an hour scrolling porn. Your confidence feels different. You meet people's eyes. You're not hiding a secret habit from the world or from yourself. That's the promise people talk about with NoFap. But what actually happens on the way there? It's not a straight line. It's a series of stages, some exciting, some dark, some terrifyingly boring, that most guys never prepare for. In this video, I'm breaking down the 7 stages of NoFap, what your brain and body go through, how long each phase tends to last, and the traps that cause people to relapse over and over. If you've ever said, "This time I'm serious," this roadmap might be the missing piece that finally makes your streak stick. Let's start at day 1, when everything feels easy, and the real challenge is still hiding around the corner. Before we dive into the 7 stages, you need to understand what NoFap actually is. It's not magic, it's habit rewiring. You're pulling yourself off a constant drip of artificial dopamine and teaching your brain to respond to real life again. This video is your map for that process. We'll go stage by stage from the honeymoon burst of willpower through withdrawal, the infamous flatline, the relapse loop, and into long-term stability and growth. As you watch, notice which stage you're probably in right now. That awareness alone can save your streak. If you care about self-mastery, masculinity, and mental clarity, hit subscribe and tap the notification bell so you don't miss the deeper follow-up videos on each stage. Stay with me until the end, because I'll give you a simple, practical plan to survive the hardest phases and actually make it to the other side of NoFap without going insane or becoming a monk. Stage 1 is the decision and honeymoon phase, usually the first 3 to 7 days. This is where you're fired up, you've watched a few motivational videos, maybe had a brutal relapse that made you feel disgusted, and you say, "I'm done. This time for real." In this stage, willpower is high because emotion is high. You might feel motivated, almost heroic, deleting apps, blocking websites, journaling, maybe even announcing your streak to friends or online forums. Physically, you may not notice much yet. Your brain still has plenty of dopamine tolerance left, so urges might actually feel weaker for a few days, like your mind is giving you a little grace period. The danger here is overconfidence. You think, "This isn't so hard. I'm built different." You underestimate what's coming. The key in stage 1 is to use that motivation window to set systems, blockers, routines, and accountability, because emotion will not carry you through the next stage. Stage 2 is withdrawal and turbulence, the first 1-3 weeks. This is where most people realize NoFap isn't a cute little challenge. It's addiction recovery. Your brain has been used to a constant on-demand flood of stimulation. When you cut that off, it panics. Common symptoms: mood swings, irritability, random waves of sadness or anxiety, difficulty focusing, and intense, intrusive sexual thoughts. You may feel more horny and less horny at the same time, mentally desperate, physically kind of numb. Sleep can get weird. Vivid dreams, sometimes wet dreams, sometimes insomnia. This is normal. Your dopamine receptors are recalibrating, and your brain is basically screaming, "Give me the old hit back." The mistake here is believing the voice that says, "See, you were happier before, just go back." If you relapse in this stage, you teach your brain, "Throw a tantrum and I'll fold." The win condition is simple: survive, don't negotiate, and ride the wave. Stage 3 is the superpowers and ego trap, often around weeks 2 to 4 for many guys. After the worst withdrawal phase, you may suddenly feel incredible for a while. Energy shoots up, social anxiety drops, eye contact gets easier, workouts feel better, and you might notice more attention from other people, especially if porn had you isolated before. Your testosterone isn't magically skyrocketing to superhero levels, but your baseline motivation and focus are no longer being drained by constant stimulation. This feels like superpowers. The problem is the ego that comes with it. You start feeling invincible. "I'll never relapse again. Porn is disgusting. I'm above all that." That arrogance is dangerous. It makes you lower your guard, scrolling Instagram in bed, watching borderline content, browsing late at night just for fun. You forget that your brain is still rewiring. If you don't stay humble here, you'll slide straight into the next stage, the relapse loop. Stage 4 is the relapse loop, where most people get permanently stuck. This usually starts after a few weeks to a month, once the novelty of your streak wears off. Here's how it works. You get complacent, you let a little trigger in, thirsty content, boredom scrolling, loneliness, and you tell yourself, I'll just edge a bit, I won't finish. 10 minutes later, you've relapsed. Afterwards comes the shame spiral. I ruined everything. I'm back to zero. I'm a failure. That hopelessness actually drives the next relapse because you think, well, I already broke the streak, might as well go all in. The loop becomes build streak, feel good, slip, binge, hate yourself, repeat. To escape this stage, shift mindset from streak worship to identity change. No more, I'm a 23-day streak guy. Instead, I'm someone who doesn't consume porn, period. Track patterns, remove triggers, and treat each relapse as data, not a death sentence. Stage 5 is the flatline, probably the most misunderstood part of NoFap. For many, it hits somewhere between weeks 3 and 8, but timing varies. Suddenly, your libido drops. You feel emotionally numb, unmotivated, maybe even mildly depressed. Morning wood disappears. Your brain, after years of extreme stimulation, has slammed the brakes. Guys panic here. Did I break my sexuality? Am I doomed? In reality, flatline is often your nervous system protecting itself while it resets. It's like going from a constant fireworks show to a dark, quiet sky. It feels wrong, but it's healing. The risk is that, desperate to test if you're still attracted to anything, you go back to porn just to check. That test usually becomes a binge. The way through flatline is radical patience. Focus on life, training, work, hobbies, real connections. Don't obsessively measure your libido every day. Let your brain relearn normal, not super stimulus. Stage 6 is emotional surfacing and identity crisis. When you remove porn, you remove one of your main coping mechanisms. All the stuff you've been numbing, loneliness, insecurity, social anxiety, childhood wounds, boredom, starts bubbling up. You might find yourself randomly sad, nostalgic, or angry for no clear reason. You might realize how much of your life you've avoided. Friendships you didn't build, women you never talked to, work you procrastinated on. This can feel overwhelming. Many guys say, NoFap made me more depressed. In reality, it exposed what was already there. This is not a sign to quit. It's a sign you're finally facing the real problem. At this stage, therapy, journaling, deep conversations, and meaningful goals become crucial. You're not just quitting a habit, you're rebuilding who you are without the constant escape. If you push through this phase, NoFap stops being a challenge and starts becoming a foundation for real change. Stage 7 is stabilization and new baseline. This often appears after a couple of solid months without compulsive porn use, though timelines differ. Your mood stops swinging so violently. Sleep improves, focus becomes more consistent, libido returns, but in a more grounded way, less obsessive, more responsive to real people and real connection. Triggers still exist, but they don't own you. You might feel urges, but there's now a gap between impulse and action. That gap is freedom. At this point, you'll notice changes in self-respect. You trust yourself more. You're not constantly negotiating with your own brain. Here, the danger shifts from relapse to stagnation. It's easy to think, I fixed it, and then coast. But NoFap isn't the finish line. It's a starting point. Use this stage to build fitness, skills, career, social life, maybe dating with integrity. Your energy now needs a direction, or it will drift back to old habits. Now, let's zoom out and reframe the 7 stages as a psychological journey. First, there's awakening, realizing porn isn't harmless entertainment for you anymore. Then, decision and honeymoon, riding motivation, withdrawal and turbulence, your brain protesting change, superpowers and ego trap, short-term gains, long-term danger, relapse loop, learning the hard way that willpower isn't enough, flatline and emotional surfacing, confronting discomfort without anesthetic. Finally, stabilization, living a new normal. Notice something. The stages mirror any addiction recovery and personal growth process. That means you can apply the same tools: environment design, accountability, replacing the habit with better rewards, and building an identity that doesn't revolve around "I'm on day X." If you see this as a skill-building journey, not a moral purity contest, you'll handle setbacks smarter without quitting. In the next segments, we'll talk about timelines, common myths, and how to recognize exactly where you are right now. Timelines. How long do these stages last? There's no universal clock, but patterns exist. For light users, porn a few times a week. Withdrawal might ease after 1 to 2 weeks. Flatline be mild or brief, and stabilization appear around 30-60 days. For heavy, daily users over years, withdrawal can feel rough for 3 to 4 weeks. Flatline can last months, and emotional surfacing can be intense. Genetics, mental health, and lifestyle all matter. The point: don't compare your journey to Reddit screenshots of 90 days and "my life is perfect." That sets you up for disappointment. Instead, track your own data: mood, energy, sleep, urges, productivity. Notice trends over 30, 60, 90 days. Think in seasons, not days. If you expect a hard first season, a confusing middle, and a calmer long term, you're less likely to panic and relapse when progress isn't linear. Consistency beats speed. You're restructuring neural pathways, not installing an app. Let's kill a few myths about the 7 stages of NoFap. Myth 1. If you hit flatline, you're broken. No, you're healing. Sexual desire isn't gone. It's recalibrating. Myth 2. If you relapse, you're back to zero. Neuroplasticity doesn't reset like a video game. A relapse is a step back, not erasing all progress. What matters is frequency and intensity over time. Myth 3. NoFap alone will fix your life. Removing porn removes a weight, but you still have to walk. If you keep the same lazy routines, toxic friendships, and scrolling habits, you'll just find another escape. Myth 4. Everyone gets superpowers. Some guys notice dramatic shifts. Others just feel more normal and stable. Which is the real win? Understand this: NoFap is a catalyst, not a personality. Don't become that guy whose entire identity is a streak counter. Use the process to build a life so meaningful that porn naturally becomes irrelevant. So, how do you practically move through the stages without getting stuck? Think in 3 layers: environment, behavior, and mindset. Environment: install blockers, keep devices out of the bedroom, avoid high-risk apps, and don't sit alone bored at 1 a.m. with Wi-Fi. Behavior: build a replacement routine: lifting, cold showers, walks, deep work, social activities, especially during your trigger times. Mindset: drop perfectionism. Expect urges. Expect flatline. Expect emotional chaos. When it hits, say, "This is stage X, it's part of the process," instead of "something's wrong with me." Use accountability: one trusted friend, a coach, or a serious online group, not meme-filled comment sections. Track streaks, but also track habits: sleep, workouts, focused hours. Over time, your identity shifts from a guy trying to quit porn to a guy building a disciplined, meaningful life, and porn just doesn't fit that story anymore. Let's crystallize the key takeaways from the 7 stages of NoFap. First, expect a journey, not a straight line. Your path will likely move through honeymoon, withdrawal, superpowers, relapse loop, flatline, emotional surfacing, and stabilization. Second, each stage has a trap: overconfidence, panic, ego, shame, fear, and avoidance. If you can name the stage, you can predict the trap and dodge it. Third, relapse doesn't erase progress. It reveals weak spots in your systems or mindset. Fix those instead of just restarting a counter. Fourth, NoFap is just one pillar. The real transformation comes from what you build with the extra time, energy, and mental clarity. Fifth, this is less about quitting porn and more about becoming someone who doesn't need it. If you hold that frame, the struggle becomes training, not punishment. In the final segment, I'll give you a simple step-by-step action plan you can start today. Here's your action plan moving forward. Step 1. Define your why in one brutally honest sentence. Not self-improvement, but something real like, I'm done hiding and wasting my potential on pixels. Write it down and read it during urges. Step 2. Build a 7-day emergency routine. Strict device rules at night, pre-planned workouts, work blocks, and social contact. Your goal is to survive the withdrawal and turbulence stage without white-knuckling alone. Step 3. Choose one person or community for accountability. Someone you'd hate to disappoint. Step 4. Track progress weekly, not obsessively daily. Rate mood, energy, urges, and wins. Look for trends, not perfection. Step 5. Commit to watching through the rest of the NoFap content on this channel, so you stay educated and motivated. If this breakdown helped, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and share this with one friend who needs it. Your future self is literally begging you to start today, not when life calms down.